Good afternoon, everybody. Obviously, my name is also Miles. It's a sort of new investment theme of the Casey Group. I want to talk a little bit today about two companies I'm involved with that were part of the same thing until recently, Reservoir Capital and Reservoir Minerals. Reservoir Capital, I think, did very well for Casey's subscribers in the past. I think we were a 10-bagger. We are currently, I would say, unloved. We're working in the renewable energy space, and there have obviously been a number of companies that have had problems, and we're certainly not a favored sector at the moment. But with regard to our business specifically, we've actually hit all of our milestones. So we have about 96 megawatts of hydroelectric and geothermal projects in various stages of development in Serbia, Bosnia, and we're also working in Montenegro. Our first two projects, Predarava 1 and 2, about 58 megawatts. We got a power purchase agreement from GDF Suez last year, largest utility in the world, I think. The end of the year, we had our projects included in a bilateral agreement between Serbia and Italy, which fixes our price at 155 euros per megawatt hour for the electricity sold in the Italian market, which is more than double our break-even cost. So that alone gives us a fairly high degree of confidence in the viability of these projects. And we're in the final stages now of completing a bankable feasibility study. Our market cap at around $30 million is a fraction of the value of the projects now. We have some expectation of the market recognizing that value as we prove the next couple of steps. But I think more importantly, we've been approached now by a number of people in Europe who are interested in owning all or part of the project. So I'm reasonably confident that we will project finance these first two projects. And I think we'll do that fairly well and fairly soon. And we are now, having proven what we can do in Serbia, both to investors here, but also more importantly to the local governments, we're being offered a lot of very nice projects, not only in Serbia, but in the neighboring countries. So, as I said, a little bit unloved at the moment, and you can look at that as an opportunity, because I think the projects are worth a lot more than the company at the moment. The other thing I wanted to just mention briefly, we actually started life, Reservoir Capital, when we first listed in 2007, was actually an exploration business, and we've carried on that business, but it got to a point sort of a year or so ago when we realized that to be developing large capex hydroelectric projects in a company that was also doing exploration and vice versa didn't make a lot of sense. So we spun out the exploration business into a new company that started listing in November, or started trading in November, sorry, as Reservoir Minerals. So we have two ticker symbols, Reservoir Capital, which is REO, and Reservoir Minerals, which is RMC. And it was a kind of a complicated process, but again, you know, we're kind of proud we did it that way. We actually spun it out and we gave most of the shares back to Reservoir Capital shareholders. So for those of you who've been patient with us, you automatically became not only a Reservoir Capital shareholder, but a Reservoir Minerals shareholder as well. And Reservoir Minerals has a portfolio of projects in Serbia, probably the most prominent of which at the moment is a joint venture we have with Freeport, where we've gone in with them on a district that's called the Bor-Majdenpek, or the Timok district, where there are two very large copper mines that have been operating on and off for, well, as industrial operations for over 50 years. So this is a very substantial and well-endowed copper-gold district. Very little recent exploration, and given the prevailing copper prices, none in terms of deep exploration. So we've gone in with Freeport looking at the recent discoveries in places like Mongolia with Oyu Tolgoi and the availability of bulk underground mining technologies now. And we're drilling down with Freeport to depths of 1,200 meters or more, using geophysics to look deep. And we are actually finding things. We put out a couple of results just last week. We've hit in 2 different places within our property package. We've hit gold in one and copper in the other. These are not deposits yet, but they're good intercepts, and they demonstrate that the technologies we're using are working, and that we're able to discover blind deposits through substantial amounts of cover. The other thing I would highlight, that's been our core project, but we also have a very nice precious metals portfolio. We have an old high-grade gold vein deposit that's being developed with a group that's listed in London. We have a high-grade silver deposit as well in Serbia, where we're planning some more drilling come the spring. And we've just picked up our first couple of licenses in Africa as well for gold. So that's a company that is just getting started. Those of you who have been Reservoir shareholders or are Reservoir shareholders may own shares already. It's got a nice portfolio and also still a very tight share structure. And we financed that last April or May, so it has plenty of cash to fulfill its business plan. And I think that was about it. Was that 7 minutes yet, or have I got more time?
Can you tell us real quick how, well, I don't know if you can say anything. Can you say anything about when we might see follow-up in Lara exploration on the high-grade copper hit and the JV there? Because a lot of our people in the audience are alert subscribers who know the Lara story. Sorry to switch companies on you. But
yeah, no, not a problem. I'm happy to talk about Lara as well. Codelco's drilling there at the moment. They're looking for a giant deposit, so they've not gone in and detailed that high grade.
Really?
They're stepping out.
50 meters of 6% or whatever it was, and that's not enough to bring them back? Well,
these are breccia bodies, so they're never going to be the next Chuquicamata or the next Tesoro. They're as they sit now, they're worth this, based on the recent deals in Brazil, they're just that little bit of high grade is probably worth $50 million, just as a deposit. They're still out looking for a large IOCG. They've got a number of other structures on the property, and there's also quite a nice gold shear target as well. We're not sure the relationship between that and the breccias, but they've got another, I think, 20 holes to go. We've seen partial results from another 5 or 6 holes.
So is there a time frame maybe on the next press
release? I mean, they give us a report once every 4 months. So this program, the RC rig goes in after the rainy season because of access in probably late April, and we should have everything wrapped up by mid-year.
Okay.
So that we may report, the diamond drilling finishes in another month or so. We may report that beforehand.
Okay.
But the idea is to have that wrapped up as a project probably by July.
Okay. All right.
But there's a lot of other stuff going on. We've got 12 drill programs funded for this year, and there's half a dozen of those are already underway or close to being underway, and most of them should be done within the first half of the year.
Okay, so we've got major results on the way for Lara by mid-year. In Reservoir Capital with the hydropower, we should have funding will really be the next milestone that really unlocks things?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've got, the main elements of demonstrating the project's viable are in place. We need to wrap up the bankable feasibility study, and then it takes, project funding takes 6 to 9 months. So the whole thing will be wrapped up in about a year's time. But we anticipate being able to do something to move the project forward before then.
Okay. And on Reservoir Minerals, is there any time frame for when Freeport will really say, yes, we've got something here, or move on? Or
they have a $3 million earn-in. They've spent $2.6 million, so they're 2 deep holes away from completing the earn-in, and then they need to elect to either give us it back or move through to bankable feasibility. And just fund everything from then on. We anticipate that they'll decide to continue, and we've just acquired another 4 licenses. So we're now, we may even be a larger landholder than the government in the Bore District, but we're certainly the largest there. And so all of that ground is now going into another earn-in with them.
Okay.
So that kind of big-scale deep drilling is not a quick process, but the relationship with Freeport's a good one. That's, you know, one in different ways that's going forward.
Okay. Maren, do you have questions? All right, we should probably move along to First Majestic then. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.